So here we are again, we're back on Zwift number 72. Unfortunately, it's the same stage 4 kick and sprint rolling Highlands course. I'm in a 210 to 330 category. I've got a ZRS score of 327. Here's the course again. It's the third time this week. You can see that we've got the breakaway Bray in the middle at the far end on the right. And we've also got the lock loop reverse to contend with, as well as the castle corkscrew. Yes, like I said, sorry that it's the third time I've done it this week. I am trying to get back into the habit of Zwifting. Before this week, I'd only ridden once in the last month, so 3 rides this week is a vast improvement on that. And just the best way of finding out how my fitness is improving would be to do the same race every week. So the only variables I've got is the amount of riders in the race, which can have an impact on the draft or the ability to draft. So in this race you can see that 31 people entered, so that was a similar amount to the second time I did the race, and quite a few less than the first time I did the race. I'll check the numbers shortly and get back to you on that. So yeah, just really wanted to see an improvement and wanted to see my fitness has improved in the week, because I had considerably dropped off in that period of time where I hadn't ridden for a month for one reason or another. There was a couple of mini breaks in there, but also been busy working hard away from my main job as a teacher, but working hard doing other things around the house during the summer holidays. So here we are, like I said, 31 people went over the start finish line. We've got the lead in here, quite undulating at first but predominantly downhill as we reach the outskirts of the village. And yeah, everyone's just biding their own time. I think we lost a couple towards the start, but you can see we're a big bunch of riders here and the race just settled in now. I also found in the last 2 races that by riding in my lowest gear, that I fatigued my legs quite a lot, so I chose to change and ride in a slightly different higher gear with a high amount of cadence. You can't actually see that at the moment because it's only around the 70 mark at the moment, but lots of times I was up and around the 80 mark, which is a higher cadence, so spinning more often rather than pushing a big gear. So in the hope that that would not fatigue my legs as much, which is what I have found has happened in the first 2 races, but that might also be because of the lack of riding I've done in the month. So we'll see how that goes. We are almost 4 kilometres into the race at this point. We're coming up to the start finish line. I've got a draft boost which I will hopefully pop shortly before I get over the start finish line. We've got a uphill section here to come, but yeah, just settling in really, so let's see how it goes from here. So here we've got the breakaway Bray, a 0.6 kilometre incline, only 2%, so it's not too bad, but you've got to push hard. I do get up at the saddle a couple of times. We're in a group of about 30 riders at the moment and I'm sat in the middle. Gary Taylor goes off the front here for a little bit on the blue Tron bike, but everyone's pushing hard. I don't want to get dropped, I don't want to get distance at all, so I keep pushing hard. You can see my watts are up over 500 there, and by the time I get over the top, just a second outside of my best for the week. I think it was 108, yeah, there it is, 108.8, and I'd done a 107.9, so just under a second slower, which is quite minimal, and didn't want to push too hard. But you can see now in the mini map on the right hand corner I'm 14th and just pushing through the places, making sure I can catch up with everybody, but there's certainly a split between us and the other riders. So there's probably around 14 riders in this front group now, so that's a positive. I've got a feather for a power up after hitting my draft, so can't actually recall where I hit the feather. I don't think I used it on the castle. I might have used it on the other incline, which takes us up to the start finish line, but we'll see. But you can see the gap now back to M Foster is 7 seconds. I'm happily sat in the middle of the group. Average watts at 227, which has been quite similar for the whole of the rest of the week. And just settling in, just trying to get my recovery all the time and making sure that I'm not using too much energy and too much effort to stay with the rest of the riders. So wherever possible, just kind of trying to keep in the draft of everybody else. Just interested to see how these riders behind are getting on, because I did say they were 7 seconds behind, and you can see now that they are 6 seconds behind. So I was conscious that there was around about another 10 riders who could catch back onto this front group. So I was keen, although I wasn't doing much about it, I was keen to make sure that we kept the pace up so that we could keep our distance from that group behind. You can still see that it's 6 seconds, so we're certainly not pulling away from them, and they're maintaining a constant gap between us and them. So here we go, we are on a section of the course which is slightly uphill. This is the part that goes back up in towards the city before we turn right at the top and head away from the city itself of Glasgow. But I'm working hard up the hill. I'm up out the seat, out the saddle, riding up here. You can see my watts are up over 300. Just making sure that I can stay in touch with the lead riders, so if there is a split that I'm in contention with them. By this point you can now see that that group behind us have just gone slightly further back to 9 seconds, and for some of them it's 10 seconds, so it looks like this group of 14 with OG Old Gamer as one of them. His name was quite prominent throughout. Yeah, it looks like these 14 riders are starting to move away and being the main part of the finishing riders.
Right on.
So just another incline that we've got to negotiate here. I'm very conscious again of making sure that I can stay quite close to the front. I'm pushing hard on my watts, making sure that I can stay within touch with the first half dozen riders, making sure that I can see that no riders are going off into the distance. But yeah, just keeping with most of the other riders. You can see Noah Poor just pushing ahead there, and also there's Loic Laveau just pushing ahead. So lots of riders taking it in turns to push on ahead and keep the pace up. So it was just something that I was conscious of. I do find that going up these uphills I put more effort in than I should do, which then causes me to be a little bit fatigued by the time I get to the top. So although you'll see that on some of these inclines I will be within the first couple, or I might be the lead rider going up over the top of the hills, it has fatigued me a little bit, and you'll find that a lot of the riders will then come back past me. I think this Castle Corkscrew, which we're about to hit after we've done this downhill, is an example of that, where I power on hard up the incline, which I think gets up to about 9%, and I lead us up over the top. But as I get over the top, I then have to recover and try and get the heart rate back down, and that's when most of the other riders will go past me. So here we go, as we drop down. I did think about putting an extra bit of power in on the downhill, which is a technique I've used before, but I do find that that flat bit at the bottom just lasts a little bit too long for me to be able to do that. But here's the incline I was talking about, up over 8%. I've powered up hard with watts of around 450. I just put another kick in here on the second slope as we get over the top, and then start to ease off with my heart rate at 170, and it's close to its limit there. And like I said, the other riders will start going past. There goes Noah for one, and there goes Oliver Pin as well. Out in front at the moment is Jay Hanfield, who's put a good spurt in here, but I think most of the riders will try and close him down, and he may well be easing off at this point, because you can see that we catch back hold of him. Again, I've said it numerous times, but just making sure by staying in the top half a dozen that if there's any breaks, I'm on the right side of it. You can see that one rider's been distance. That's Gary Taylor. He's dropped back to 10 seconds, 11 seconds as I speak, so we're probably down to 13 riders now. So we're back on the breakaway Bray. I can't imagine that the time that I went up on this second occasion would have been any better. I do have a habit of contradicting myself, so we'll see what the time was when we get up over the top. But this is the finish line in a lap's time. It takes it out of you quite a lot. But some riders who are far better at climbing can navigate it far better than me. But you can see that the time I did, oh no, sorry, that's from the lap before maybe, and just now I was 109, so another half second slower. So not the slowest of the week, but not too bad. And I wasn't trying to do a PB or anything like that. I wasn't trying to make my best time possible. I was just trying to stay with the rest of the riders. That incline there that you can see in the mini map in front, that's always a little bit confusing, because that's if we carried on in a straight line, but we take a left before the incline, so that does throw me a little bit. I've obviously got used to it now because I've done the course 3 times this week, but just something to bear in mind. It can be a little bit of a distraction. So we are into the final 7.8 kilometres. My heart rate is reasonable at 158. We've done quite a few uphill sections, and now we're on a rolling downhill section predominantly, so hopefully that heart rate will get back down under 150. Average watts has slightly dropped down to 223, and really you're not able to see that the cadence is any faster than any other rides I've done, but I did feel as though I was still spinning quite hard. I did change into a lower gear on some of the descents momentarily, because that would only make sense to do that, but yeah, just wanted to spin a little bit more, and I did feel a little bit better for it, but I don't feel as though my legs are back up to the strength that I had in them about 2 months ago. But hopefully if I can get some more consistent riding put in over the next few weeks, I can hopefully get back to riding more powerfully and competing. I'm not too concerned about my Zwift racing score going up and up and up, although it's hovering around the 330. I have had it over the 350 mark, so I'd like it to be around there, but then that causes me problems because I just can't compete in the category where I've competing over the 350 category with the 390s or above. So here we are back on the incline up towards the city again. We've got 6 kilometres to go. I think we're down to 13 riders. G. Taylor was the rider who was closest to us. And he's been swallowed up by the riders chasing us. So we're down to 11 riders, I think. I think we lost another one just after the breakaway Bray. And I think that was Middleton. He's there at the bottom of the screen now, Middleton Vegan. I think he dropped off at that point after the breakaway Bray. So to the best of my knowledge, I can see that we're down to the final 11. We're coming up to the 5 kilometre mark. I've got a feather, so potentially going to pop that. I'm not sure whether I pop that on the castle or the castle corkscrew, or whether I up it on this longer incline, which isn't as steep, but it's more sustained. So here we go into the final 5k. I'm still in that front half a dozen, making sure that I can stay with anybody and just counter any movement if that takes place. But at the same time, there's lots of other stronger riders in this group, making sure that there's no other breakaways. But first of all, at the front, you can see Noah Paul there. Ryan Knight's also up at the front, and they're pushing hard. I'm trying to maintain that position in the top half a dozen. You can see that I've popped my feather at this point, and amongst others I've got Johan Stocky just by the side of me, but just making sure that no one really makes a dart for it here, because I feel as though I need to try and counter that. But yeah, I'm in a good position at the moment. Heart rate's really high though, so as I get to the top of this hill, it's a little bit deceiving because it looks like on the mini map it starts to drop down straight away, but there is a period of time where we're riding along the flat. You can see that we're down to 9 riders now. OG Old Game has dropped off at this point, so yeah, 9 or 10 I think we're on. Yeah, 10 riders left. So but I'm, as well as trying to get some draft from the riders in front, I'm making sure that I don't get dropped at all. So bit of power up as I come through here, but you can see my watts are really low, so I have eased off as we drop down the other side, waiting to go up the Castle Corkscrew again. But I know I'm on double speed on these recordings, but you know, the race does come up at you very quickly, and with only 2 kilometres to go, you know, it doesn't take much time for anybody to make an impression on the race. So here we go, back up the Castle Corkscrew. I found that quite a few of the riders were putting in a good effort, so although I lead up over the top, there's lots of riders who are following me. I was keeping an eye on the mini map on the right hand side to see if anybody dropped off, because that would obviously encourage me to keep pushing hard. And I was thinking here that maybe a few of them would be distanced, but one by one they all seem to be going past. So I'm back in 8th position with just one rider, Jay Hanfield, behind me, who's just gone past me. So I'm back in 9th position here, 10th position here now, and I'm chasing them all down. So yeah, it was a tricky race. We've only got a kilometre to go, and I know that the last 0.7 of a kilometre is that last uphill section towards the finish line up the Breakfast Bray. So I know that I'm not going to compete at the front. I've dropped off a little bit, so I fast forward to the riders at the front, and just through coincidence I choose Johan Stocky to follow. He's in a really good position. He puts a really good burst in here, and you can see that he's out in front, but close behind him we've got Michael van der Wolf, who's chasing him hard. But going past Stocky is Aaron Muse right at the finish line, and it takes the win. So then we just scroll back through the other riders, and I'm only about 10 seconds behind the winner, but yeah, it came up on us quite quickly there. So relatively pleased with my 10th place. I think my finishing time of 32:54, no, it wasn't 32:54, sorry, it was 37 minutes and 1 second, and that was 2 seconds faster than I rode it 2 days ago, but a considerably quicker ride than I did at the start of the week, where it was 37 minutes and 35, and that ride of 37 minutes 35 had far more riders in it, so the drafting effect should have had more impact. So really pleased with that ride there, with 37 minutes and 1 second, because I think the race, in the second race of the week, there was around about similar sort of riders. So yeah, the drafting would have be more beneficial in the first and second group. So really pleased with that. Slight improvements over the week. I will hopefully try and race on Tuesday night, and I will have a look and see what rides there are available on Tuesday night. So I think what I'll go for on Tuesday is the race at 12 minutes past 6 in the evening, stage 1, Rolling with Envy. I'll be in the 270 to 390 category. After this race, my Zwift racing score went up to 331, which is a bit of a shame because if it had been below 330, I could have gone in an easier category. But I'll go for the 270 to 390. I can see that another YouTuber Beeblebrock, has already signed up for that race, so he'll be racing. I would imagine that he would be ahead of me in the race because I'm just still getting my legs back together, and predominantly every time I have ridden in a race with him, he's been ahead of me anyway, so I would expect that to be the same again tomorrow. So hope you've enjoyed this video. Sorry for the repeat course again, but it's just because I am trying to get my miles in and trying to get my fitness back up after a period of stagnation. So yeah, I always say please subscribe, but I notice that quite often people like the videos and put a thumbs up, so please put a thumbs up and like the video. Please subscribe. Numbers are always going up, so that's pleasing to see. And I'll catch you all tomorrow night at 12 minutes past 6. Cheers, bye bye.